Welcome everybody. My name is David Gomez Barquero. I'm a professor at the Technical University of Valencia. And well, we have here with us the people responsible for the open calls of Imagine-B5G and also representatives of the 4 facilities. So let's get started. I will share a presentation, and I hope that you see it right. So, well, most of the talking will be done by Ogdu and Jim. Ogdu from the professor from the University of Oslo in Norway, and Jim from I was going to say SETU, but it's now a different institute in Ireland. And we have also Frank, Karim, Fatma, and Jane as speakers for the 4 facilities. We will go first through the presentation, and we will have some Q&A at the end. So, well, I'll get started just very quickly. An introduction on the project. Well, it's a STREAM-D phase 1 project, which means large-scale trials and pilots with verticals. We have 4 facilities in Spain, in Portugal, France, and Norway. And the project is 3 years long. This is our 2nd year. And we have one open call each year. So last year we made our first open call. We have 15 projects ongoing, and now we will make our 2nd open call, and there will be a 3rd one next year. Okay, well, regarding the objectives, basically we have, I mean, in the project we identify a number of vertical use cases of interest to the consortium, but and that can be tested in the facilities we have. We are also open to other test beds. To other vertical use cases, not other test beds. So we want like vertical experiments happen in the 4 facilities of the project. Okay, and well, regarding just the methodology, so basically the project is structured in 3 phases. There are what we call platform, meaning like the 4 facilities, 3 different releases, 1 per open call. So we have the 2nd release of our platform or facilities ready, and there will be a 3rd one next year. And basically, well, once we have already identified the use cases of interest, and then naturally, if one project is selected for funding, we review the use case, define in detail like KPIs, KVIs. Then there is like 1 step for onboarding, the trials and pilots themselves, and the validation. Okay, and well, regarding just quickly, the first open call last year, there were 64 submissions, mostly vertical experiments, also some platform extensions, and finally 15 projects were selected for funding and are ongoing. And we spent almost 2 million euros, which is actually the budget available for this 2nd open call. Although, and well, these projects are ongoing and they cannot participate in this 2nd open call. Okay, so well, just I will give the floor to Ogdu Alay from the University of Oslo, which will explain more detail the objectives and priorities of the 2nd open call. So Ogdu, I will keep sharing the slides. for you.
Hi everybody, my name is Özge and I'm the technical manager for the open calls. So I can basically just go over the objectives and priorities for this open call too. I just put the slide of the timeline. So we are in the middle, in a sense, in the project. We just launched the open call 2. So basically the deadline is 10th of June. And basically we will after that do the evaluation and towards the end of this year we are expecting the open call 2 projects being onboarded to the facilities. We will have one more open call at the end of the project. It's the open call 3, which will be shorter, more focused projects. But yeah, there is still one more chance even after this open call 2. So in terms of the objectives and priorities, this one is also quite similar to the open call 1. So the whole idea is to invite third parties to present their proposals where they can test and validate their novel vertical applications through the pilots and trials. We are expecting large-scale pilots and trials on our testbed facilities. And these type of proposals are under the umbrella of vertical experiments. So if you want to basically, if you have an idea, if you have maybe an experiment related to a vertical, this fits in this bullet point. But we are also open to add new features to our facilities to make them, in a sense, broader in terms of what we can support, as well as new releases are coming in terms of 5G, beyond 5G. So we are basically welcoming projects that will provide hardware or software extensions to the Imagine project. We are particularly encouraging if there are from the first phase any stream A/B projects where they are building new ideas towards 6G and they want to basically provide these software to the facilities if possible. This is very welcome.
Mm-hmm.
So in terms of vertical experiments, we are supporting different verticals currently in the facilities, among them PPDR, media, transport and logistics, industry 4.0, education, smart agriculture and forestry, and e-health. And we have identified for these verticals what will be kind of the priority areas or use cases for us. For example, for PPDR, we have identified 4 different use cases, and these use cases are also kind of identified by different facilities. For example, in the France facility, they would like to see a use case that is more on firefighting and forest surveillance. Similarly, Spain are interested in, the Spanish facility is interested in critical surveillance and inspection at a maritime port, together with the Port of Valencia, for example, or multifunctional remotely operated boats. And for the Norway, they are interested to see, for example, VR, AR enabled dispersed command posts under this PPDR. For the media PPDR, robust and flexible remote production is of interest to the Norwegian facility if you have something in that area. Or in general, anything related to holographic communication fits very well to a use case in the Spanish facility. In terms of transportation and logistics, in the Portugal facility, they define a use case that is on improved localization mechanism for transportation and logistics. And for the Spanish facility, they would like to maybe see some use cases that are more on telepresence aided maintenance in this area. For the Industry 4.0 vertical, we have one use case that is on industrial infrastructure automation that is defined by the Norwegian facility. For education, similarly, the Norwegian facility is interested in experiments that can basically explore immersive remote education, different aspects with XR and robotics.
Mm-hmm.
And for
also together with the
together
Spanish,
with Spain, I don't know why it's not there. Yes, that's
well,
we can add. For smart agriculture and forestry, we have the Spanish and Norwegian facilities where they are interested on how we can basically do the smart agriculture in rural areas. And finally, for the e-health vertical, Portugal facility is interested in enhanced care facilities. And for the Norwegian facility, we have the remote care with immersive media facilities. One thing we mentioned before, these are the verticals and use cases we define, and in general, these will be prioritized, but we are open. Sometimes there are very interesting other use cases and verticals, so feel free to get in touch. As long as they are feasible, we are open to welcome other experiments. So for the platform extensions, we have defined a few areas of interest to the facilities. For example, new radio equipment and advanced modem devices, if you would like basically to enhance the facilities. And this is, of course, of interest to most of our facilities, Spain, Norway, and Portugal, that basically fits under this extension. Immersive equipment to basically enhance the kind of the immersive networking towards 6G. It can be haptics, robotics, holography, anything XR to basically kind of enable us to carry out those type of experiments in a kind of more enriched way. This fits in this category. A Spanish facility is also interested in network as a code and CAPIF, GUI for infrastructure operations. These are basically already available network as a code and CAPIF, and you can basically just jump in and provide extensions to this. Observability and analytics framework for the facility or the infrastructure is of interest for the Norwegian facility. And finally, precise positioning, indoor or outdoor, is also quite interesting as a software extension for the Norwegian facility. And again, if you have other ideas, get in touch. We are also welcoming other extensions, but these are kind of the priority areas that we come up with as a project.
Yes, and well, maybe just to add that since we are a StreamD project, which we should focus on verticals, we want all platform extensions that end up in a vertical experiment or trial. So that's very important. And maybe, well, some ideas for platform extensions are very cool, and I like them. But if we cannot end up within the time frame of the project in a vertical experiment, we cannot consider them in Imagine. Yes.
Exactly. Yes. So any extension has to be used in a vertical experiment throughout the Imagine lifetime, and that is an absolute must for us. And anyone who is going towards the extension path, I think it's important that they support the extension towards the end of the project, or as well as they think about the verticals this extension can enable. So in terms of funding, so basically we have 2 million euros for this round for Open Call 2. And similar to Open Call 1, we are basically allocating, we are targeting to allocate at least 50% of the budget to the SMEs, scale-ups, and startups. This was the case for Open Call 1. So we basically are hoping to also enable the SMEs, scale-ups, and startups by doing the same thing for Open Call 2. But any other institutions, companies are, of course, the rest of the 50% budget is there. So you can basically apply to vertical experiments. In this round, we are thinking about maybe up to 12 projects, and each project will be around 12 months. If you are applying as one partner, you can apply for up to 100,000 euros. But you can also apply as a small consortium. We only allow a consortium of 2 partners. In that case, you can get a little bit more budget, where the coordinator gets 80,000 euro and the partner gets 60,000 euro for a total of 140,000 euros. The platform extension, we are planning to, for this round, maybe fund up to 7 projects. Again, the max duration is 12 months, and the financial part is very similar to the vertical experiments. So 1 project up to 100,000 euro, or a consortium up to 140,000 euro.
Yes, but well, I know, just to note that for platform extensions, we expect they provide support until the end of the project. We want the projects to start in October this year, and Imagine will finish December next year. And also because of the obligation we have that platform extensions need to be used by a vertical experiment. If someone proposes a platform extension, should be relatively soon, because if the platform extension is ready in October next year, it will not be useful in practice. So those things are important to take into account for the platform extension. So
if I may iterate a little bit on that, I think you should account for the OpenCall 3 projects will be starting around summer next year. So whatever the extension, at least a testable version should be available. And I think it is good to indicate this in your plan so that this can be kind of announced and used by the OpenCall 3 projects. This is very critical for the OpenCall 2 platform extensions.
Yes.
Okay, so in terms of preparation and the submission process, we have the OpenCall 2 in the Imagine website. You can find all the information there, all the documents, what needs to be done, and so on and so forth. If you click one more, David. So there is the submission of proposals where we have the HotCrab platform. So you basically need to go through, first of all the documentation, the description for the facilities, vertical experiments, and platform extension documents. We have a mandatory feasibility check. So we also need to basically check your initial idea, and this has to be approved by the facilities 3 weeks before the submission deadline. So don't wait for the last minute as well, because this takes some time. You can find the feasibility check template on the website among those documents as well. In terms of admin and financial, I'm sure Jim will go through that. Please go over the sub-grant agreement, go over the guide for applicants, and we also have the template, of course, for the submission. And when you basically fill up the template and you have a feasibility check approval, you need to go to the HotCrab platform. You can basically easily get a user account, and then you basically submit your proposal in HotCrab account. And up until deadline, you can basically submit, update, and make changes. You can update several times up until the deadline. There is no limit on that, but the platform we are using for this is linked here. And if you have any issues or any problems, just let us know. So next, I think the facilities will provide an overview of what they will bring to the OpenCall 2.
Yes. Well, this is like an overview of the platform architecture that we have in the project, but at the end we have like 4 independent facilities. So we'll go one by one. We'll start with the Norwegian facility, and we have Jane from Telenor that will explain us very briefly. There is a lot of information already on the webpage and some deliverables about the facility. So
So good morning, everyone. So I'm Jane Francis Pajo. I'm a research scientist at Telenor Research and Innovation, and today I'm representing the Norwegian facility. And here you can see like a brief overview of like the different sites that we offer for the open call to. So on the upper left hand, we have 3 sites. So we have Fornebu site, or it's in our headquarters just outside Oslo. And then we have Svalbard, which is an island north of Norway. And then we are also developing one new site at the University of Oslo. And all of these sites are running with together with a 5G SA core, so which is in our central site for Nebu, and then also in C-band. And so for the locations, you can also see here in the map on the right hand side where the locations are, and then also the status, whether it's fully functional or it's in progress. And we also have edge sites in addition to our central site. So first, in our central site, it's hosting our main 5G core, and it can also host different vertical applications. So if you are applying for a vertical experiment and need to deploy your own vertical apps, then you can also have it deployed in our central site. In addition to that, we have 2 types of edge sites that we are currently implementing and exploring. So at UIO, we are trying a local breakout edge where only the user plane function will be deployed, and it will allow, for example, if a UE at the UIO site will try to access local vertical applications deployed there, then it doesn't have to go to the central site. On the other hand, for the autonomous edge in Svalbard, so it has the complete 5G core and could work in an autonomous way. And so some scenarios could also include like if the autonomous edge is down, then it could also connect to our main core in Fornebu. And in addition to the sites, we also have some like all-in-one solutions, which are fully independent, like the network on wheels. So you can see like a small truck in the lower right-hand corner. So it has everything with the radio and the 5G core, and maybe if there is also some servers that could host some maybe lightweight applications as well. And in addition to this, so as Usgo and David also mentioned, so we have some features actually coming from the OC1 project that will be available from March 2025. And there are 2 main features that would be available. So one is the IP multimedia subsystem, or the support for MCX services on the Network on Wheels 1. So this will be available for 3 months. And also the PNI NPN or PNI now. So this is basically a network architecture that allows a private 5G network like the Network on Wheels or our other private 5G to directly connect with our central or public 5G network. Yeah. So David, you can go to the next slide. Yeah. Yep. And I just want also to go through the main platform that we have in our central site. So it is based on a multi-vendor 5G core, where the 5G SA network functions are jointly provided by 3 main vendors, so Oracle, Enea, and Casa Systems. And in the middle, where you see the 5G mobile core, these are the functions that we have. And in addition, we also are trying to explore and start the validation of new functions like NEF and WDEF and SEP. Although the availability of these new functions will not be guaranteed for OC2, and so everything is running on OpenShift, and which also includes uh, all features like automation and observability and so on. And so you can see here the end-to-end chain, right? So from the left-hand side, you can see the 5G devices connecting to our RAN and to the core and towards the internet as well. And on the northbound, we also have a network and service orchestration stack. It's not fully depicted here, the internals of the stack, but I believe it's also in the deliverables and facility description. So beyond this orchestration stack, we try to expose the possibility to offer network slice as a service to different verticals. So you can see here the PPDR, e-health, industry, 4.0 and media, and also potentially for developers either on the vertical side or on the network vendors perspective. Yeah, so I think that's it from my side, and maybe Osgo or Costas.
I can take this.
Yeah.
And part of the platform facility, as Jane was mentioning, we are building a testbed on University of Oslo, and the networking part is in progress. We are hoping to have it up and running maybe during summertime. But our interest is more on the immersive networking. So we also have different XR equipment for experimentation, especially on haptic and telepresence communication. And as you can see, we basically have a lot of stuff from VR headsets to smart suites, haptic tech suite, 5-finger shadow dexterous hand with the universal robot arm, a lot of different things to the cameras and LiDAR to capture the environment, as well as basically try to create a physical avatar with the robots and the equipment around it. So what we are basically aiming to do in the lab is to be a playground for the vertical experiments, specifically targeting multimodal remote interactions with the multi-sensory feedback. And we have a vertical on the education use case, and we are happy to also support the experiments with the XR equipment in several immersive verticals.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's move on. Thank you, Jane and Ozu. Let's move on to the Spanish facility, and we have Fran Curieses with us. So, Fran, please go ahead.
Thank you. My name is Fran from the Technical University of Valencia, and today I'm representing the Spanish facility. Our facility is formed by 3 different sites, the UPV, the Valencia port, and our rural site. Then we have 1 experimental laboratory in Madrid Nokia's offices. All of them have advanced 5G standalone and non-standalone networks working on multiple frequency bands. Each site has its own 5G core, where all the radio equipment is from Nokia, all of them based on 3GPP release 16. Also, there will be available intercommunication between sites through the Telefónica's public network. The facility has end-to-end network slicing capabilities with multiple slices created and 5QI profiles for radio prioritization. Moreover, there are available APIs through Network as a Code, enabling third parties to access, discover, and use 5G network capabilities. VPN certificates are available for third parties to access to the facility, such as, for example, to view a dashboard for KPIs monitoring. All of this is working in our edge computing infrastructure. Next slide, please. The first site is located at the Technical University of Valencia, and it has indoor and outdoor 5G coverage. There are multiple 5G cores available, each one with several 3GPP features. A private APN, access point name, from Telefónica will allow access to UPP private resources from the Telefónica public network, enabling continuous coverage from the UPV to the Valencia port, for example. The UPV has an immersive laboratory, APIs capability with a local server, and cloud continue server based on Amazon Web Services Outpost. This functionality allows you to move workloads between on-premise and the cloud easily. Next slide. The UPV Immersive Laboratory is an experimental space with the latest technology in telepresence, such as a chroma key or LED wall, augmented and cross-reality technologies, a volumetric 360 capture system, haptic equipment, such as a cockpit with virtual reality headset and haptic gloves and suits, and holographic technologies, such, for example, a holographic cabin from the OpenCall One. All of these equipment are interconnected by an indoor advanced 5G network. We are looking for 3 different use cases to develop in this environment: holographic communication, telepresence aided maintenance, and immersive remote education. Next slide, thank you. The second site is the Valencia port, which has a standalone and non-standalone network. As in the UPV, we have the possibility of using the Telefónica's public network to perform multiple use cases. On this maritime environment, we are looking to perform use cases related to critical surveillance and inspection at a maritime port and multifunctional remotely operated boat. Next slide. And finally, the third site of the Spanish facility is the rural site, located in a small village in Soria, Spain. The site has multiple radio access technologies, where we have a private 5G network standalone coverage, and then we have LoRa, which is used to interconnect multiple agricultural and meteorological sensors. The site is fully powered by renewable energies, wind and solar, with a focus on agricultural and smart green technologies. As the site is located in a isolated area, we utilize Starlink satellite link to access it. In this case, we are looking for use cases related to telepresence aided maintenance and smart agricultural in rural areas.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so thank you, Fran. And we have Fatma with us to explain us about the Portuguese facility. So please, Fatma, go on. Fatma, I don't hear you. Maybe you are muted. Is Fatma in the call? I don't hear her.
I see her, but I cannot hear her.
At the beginning, she could speak.
Not now.
Okay, maybe we can move Karim to the French facility.
Good morning, everyone. So I'm Karim Boutiba, postdoc at Eurocom, and today I'm representing the French facility. So the French facility is mainly located at one site, which is located at Eurocom in south of France, with the possibility of replicating the test bed in any other location, under the condition to have license for the frequency and the radio unit and the required hardware to run the OI stack. In fact, at Eurocom, we have an end-to-end open source 5G solution based on OpenAir interface for both standalone and non-standalone deployments for both FR1 and FR2. So for the run, we are all Open Run compliant. So we offer a CU and a DU in open source manner. So it can be customized for the need of the vertical. And the DU were tested with several radio units from multiple vendors. For example, the AW2S, the Mavnir, the interdigital MSU for millimeter wave with USRPX 410, the light on FR1, FR2 units, and the VVDN. So the DU theoretically is independent from the frequency being used, so it can work with any frequency under the condition to have an RU supporting that frequency and a license to use the frequency in order to avoid interferences. For the core network, we have a service-based architecture with the different network functions, mainly the NW, DAF, and the NEF, that allows the vertical to monitor the informations about their user equipment from the core network. And combining the core network with the Open Run, we can extract the radio information via the E2 interface, and hence the vertical can be network aware and can use these metrics in order to optimize the application. This is one value for the Open Run approach and the openness of the core network. Plus, being open source can customize the different network functions and run functions to adapt it to the vertical use case. So in terms of performance for vertical use services, we support URC with the one-way latency of 4 milliseconds. We have the MMTC with LTE-M for now, and in future with support of RedCap devices in 5G. And we support also eMBB up to 800 megabits per second in downlink and 60 megabits per second in uplink. Besides, all the network functions in the core network and the run components, UDU and the run intelligent controller are based on containers, so can be deployed on the top of OpenShift and Kubernetes clusters, for instance. Additionally to the core network and to the run, we have also an edge platform with a homemade orchestration framework that allows the vertical to deploy a service, including the core network and the run, but also his vertical applications on the edge. Next slide, please. So this is the facility architecture. We have 3 layers. So the infrastructure layer, as I said before, we have the run domain, the core network domain, and the edge domain. So each domain is orchestrated with CISM that allows to deploy different applications or containers, to be more technical, to the facility virtual infrastructure. And on the top of that, we have a resource orchestrator. The resource orchestrator receives requests from the upper layers in order to deploy and to instantiate and terminate the different services and applications in different domains. On the top of that, we have the LCM services in the domain management and orchestration, DMO. So the LCM services are the higher layer of orchestration of the facility. So it can either receive requests from a web portal. So the vertical has a form to fill. He will define his application, the location of images, describe all the necessary configuration of his application, and then submit the request in order to be deployed on the facility. So he can deploy the run components, including CU, DU, and X apps. But also, if he doesn't need the physical user equipment, he can test his application via the open interface user equipment, which is a virtual user equipment, can be deployed as a container as well. So he can route the traffic to this container, and then the traffic will be routed to the core network and then to the edge application. So this he can test his application in large scale with a large number of user equipments. Also, he can express his request as an intent in a human language. He can write text, I want to deploy an application that as he wants. And then this intent will be translated into the network service descriptor, and then use the LCM services in order to deploy it at the facility premises. Next slide, please. So during the first open call, the facility is currently extended with the different extensions. So the first extension is the camera APIs. So the first API that will be ready is the Edge Cloud API. So the vertical can use this API to deploy its applications and to monitor them at the Edge server or at Euricom. We have also the core network monitoring and configuration via GUI. So the vertical can configure the core network in real time. So when he deploys the service via our orchestration framework, he will obtain a link to this GUI reserved to his core network instance, and he can add user equipment and configure it in terms of what will be ready during this project. And finally, we have the two-step patch procedure. This will be helpful for the PPDR use cases. So it will reduce the latency, the access latency of the sensors and the IoT devices. For now, it's already implemented and tested with open interface user equipment. So the function is working, but needs to be tested with commercial user equipments. So we ordered some RedCap devices, and we will test this functionality with the RedCap devices. But as plan B, we can use the open interface user equipment to validate the use case using this two-step procedure. Next slide, please.
Okay, that's it. Thank you, Karim. Fatma?
Do you now hear me?
Yes, now I hear you.
Okay, great.
So let's go back to the Portuguese facility, and Fatma, please.
Okay, so thank you, David. I'm Fatma Marzouk, a postdoc researcher from the Portuguese facility, and through the slides, I will be taking you through a brief overview on what our facility is about. So the Portuguese facility features both research and commercial solutions that provide a city-wide real-life environment to develop, test, and validate 5G and beyond 5G solution. So at its core, the Portuguese facility is composed of two main data centers, which makes it a multi-domain facility. Each of the domain has and feature different beyond 5G solutions. In terms of new radio deployments, the Portuguese facility involves different deployments. And as you can see geographically, the new radio deployment of overall infrastructure are distributed across and spans across the overall different areas in the overall area city. So in terms of first, they are the new radio deployment. They are supported by different core solutions. In terms of outdoor locations, we find mainly location at seaports and railways, which can be leveraged for the smart ports and transportation and logistic use cases. The outdoor area also is features citywide small cells and fiber deployments that can be leveraged to explore other verticals such as the public protection and disaster relief, as well as to extend the resources to the coverage of other verticals such as e-health. In terms of indoor locations, the Portuguese facility has several indoor locations. First, within the premises of IT, Aveiro, and Altis Lab, which rather provides a controlled environment for the development and the validation of early proof of concepts. Thus, in-premises indoor location are also extended with other industrial indoor locations, with namely edge local breakout capability, which also extends the Portuguese facility potential to other application scenarios such as the industry 4.0. Next slide, please. So this picture shows the architectural overview of the Portuguese facility, and as I said, it is strategically divided into two main domains, Domain A and Domain B, where in Domain A, the radio access network bringing different new radio equipment is connected to a 5G, to a Huawei 5G standalone core, while in Domain B, the RAN follows an open RAN architecture with a connection to three available, or actually an exploration of three available cores at Domain B, which are Druid, Open 5G-S, and Open 5G core. The Portuguese facility feature also network orchestration capability, allowing to manage each of the domain, as well as end-to-end service orchestration capability, allowing to expose the 5G and beyond 5G technologies to the vertical customers. Next, please. So this is a sort of a summary slide showing the main technological features that are empowering the Portuguese facility. This includes advanced 3GPP technologies with fully functional 5G standalone infrastructure, following to release 16 with some release 17 functionalities supported, some open and scalable architectures allowing to accommodate various use cases with varying requirements, the availability of different public network, integrated non-public network, the availability of different infrastructure to explore and support the public network, integrated non-public network. Also, the capability to host third parties virtualized and containerized application. The Portuguese facility supports AI and machine learning capabilities, and on the Domain B, there are currently some positioning capabilities supported, which were brought by the extension project from the OC1 project and platform extensions. So in reality, the list of the technological capabilities is extensive. And I would like to invite you to refer to the description of the Portuguese facility that is available online as part of the OC2 document for further details. Thank you. That's all from my side.
Thank you, Fatma. And as you just said, there is information in the webpage of the second open call. There is one document on the facilities where you can find much more details. So, okay, we are going to move now to the second part on admin aspects. I'm going to stop sharing here, and Jim Clark will take over. So I'll stop sharing. And Jim, you are muted.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, David.
Thank you, Jim.
And thank you, everyone, for being here. Today, I'll be presenting the administrative and financial aspects. My name is Jim Clark from Southeast Technological University in Ireland, and we handle the financial aspects of the open calls. In terms of the timeline, I'll just quickly go through these. So there's 2 months to submit the proposals, as Ozu presented earlier, and then there's a period of approximately 1.5 months to complete the evaluations of the proposals, including the evaluation and consensus activities, and then the selection process. And then once the selection happens, there's about a 1.5 month period to complete the required checks and sign the sub-grant agreement. And we have a sort of a non-negotiable process in terms of the sub-grant agreement, which I'll go into a bit more detail in a few moments. But I just point out here that there could be some delays to discuss the IPR issues, but to avoid any sort of delays, what we do, and it was quite successful in the first open call, is we encourage the IPR discussions during the feasibility checks. And there's actually a section in your feasibility check for this to kick off these discussions. And then once the projects start, to facilitate the smooth running of the projects, each beneficiary of the projects will have a patron pair assigned to them from the facilities to facilitate their smooth onboarding and monitoring throughout the project lifetime and also beyond the project. In terms of the eligibility criteria, and this is all detailed in the guide for applicants, but I just will point out a couple of items here. So any legal entity in Europe or EU associated countries with validated PIC number, each proposal must be submitted by a single legal entity acting as coordinator. So it's similar to the way it's done in regular Horizon Europe projects. And then, as Ozu mentioned, you could have a maximum of 2 team members representing 2 different legal entities in the consortium. A completed application relevant to the scope of the call before the deadline is submitted. Then at the time of the submission, the coordinator must acknowledge their prior knowledge and acceptance of the terms of the open call sub-grant agreement, and this is available now and can be downloaded, as there will not be negotiation phase prior to the signing of this sub-grant agreement if the project is selected for funding. As I mentioned earlier, obviously there might be some minor tweaks that have to be made, but nothing major can be negotiated at that point in time. The applicants have not been awarded a grant in the previous Imagine-B5G call, whose project period and content is overlapping with the current call. So the same applicant can be awarded up to 2 projects in different open calls, but only if the project's period and the content is not overlapping. So in other words, you could potentially be in the first open call and in the third open call, but you could not be in the first and the second, or the second and the third open calls. And then applicants will only be funded in 1 application to the same call. There's nothing to stop you from being in more than 1 application, although it's not really encouraged, but there's nothing to stop you. But if you're successful in 2 of them, only 1 of them will be funded. There's nothing to prohibit an application in Imagine-B5G at the same time as an application to other SNS projects open calls. However, under no circumstances is double funding for the same activity admissible, and the project teams for all of the SNS projects are coordinating with each other together to determine if there's any multiple participations in the open call projects. If accepted for funding, the coordinators are required to sign a declaration of honor stipulating that the entity is eligible for financing in line with the eligibility rules, and they declare no double funding and that they have operational capacity, with the possibility for requests for additional documentation if and when required. And then, as we mentioned earlier, a feasibility check must be carried out by the relevant Imagine-B5G facility, and we'll give you a bit more details on this. The feasibility check is done the way we do this is you contact the facility or the project itself using this email address. giving the main idea of the proposal and the facility of interest. And then you will fill out a template, the feasibility check template that's supplied by us. And then the facilities will provide feedback to the proposers, which then must be copied into section F of the proposal template in the hot crap application. And then the deadline for this feasibility check is the 27th of May, 2024. And if a feasibility check is not carried out, the proposal will be deemed ineligible. So it's very important that you get these done. In terms of the evaluation, each project will be evaluated by a team of internal and external evaluators. This team will be appointed based on the expertise of the evaluators on the topic while avoiding any conflicts of interest. The rankings will be based on a scoring system across criteria, excellence, impact, value, and implementation. And this is explained in a bit more detail in the guide for applicants. The project will implement 2 ranking lists in order to fund 2 categories of stakeholders. We have SME entities, so that includes SME scale-ups and startups, of which we have 50% of the budget allocated, and then other entities, so academia, research organizations, etc., with another 50% allocated. So the distribution of the top ranked projects, starting from the SME list to the facilities, will be based on the specified number of open call users each facility can support. As I mentioned earlier, the predefined subgrant agreement is already available for download, and this agreement is between the coordinator partner of the open call project and SET2, my organization, who's looking after the financial end of things. And as I mentioned probably twice already, there's no negotiation on the terms of this, and the proposers must acknowledge that they have downloaded and read the subgrant agreement and understood there is no negotiation at the time of the submission of the proposal. And then, there is some further minor clarifications required, obviously, such as inclusion of the necessary partner information and maybe something on IPR, as I mentioned previously. Okay. In terms of reporting, the requirement for the reporting is kept to a minimum because we want the project to focus mainly on, achieving the work in the project, the technical aspects of the work. But in summary, there are 2 defined deliverables in the life of the project. So the first deliverable is called Intermediate Execution Plan, which includes a report on the usage of the partner's resources to fulfill the contract. We use a lump sum model for payments. However, for monitoring purposes, we do have to capture the resource type information from each of the projects as well. And then deliverable 2 is the final experimentation extension report, which is a report which also includes a report on the usage of the resources for the entire duration. And then it also has a signed request for payment so it's like a cost claim type of a payment request is included with this as well. And so the reporting requirements are already outlined in the subgrant agreement Annex 2. So you can get a bit more detail on this in the subgrant agreement. In terms of the available cost categories for Imagine-B5G.
Sorry, Jim, maybe regarding the previous slide, just because the first open call we are having, it's important to say that the payments, or maybe you have another slide related to the payments.
I don't have one, but there might be something in the FAQs on the payments.
Okay,
but
well, if not, I can just, well, you can also say it, but the payments of the to you, they are associated or linked to those two deliverables. The first one is 35% of the total budget, and that first deliverable, in practice, in the first open call, most of the projects they have delivered it in the first month. Some they took a little bit more. And the second deliverable, which is basically at the end of the project, in case of a platform extension, they need to provide support after that. But that payment, if I'm not mistaken, Jim, please correct me, it's 50%. And there is, so in total, those that will be 85%. And the final 15%, it's well, is scheduled for once the commission and the external reviewers of the project validate the results or give the okay to the project itself. So that will basically, in practice, for this second and third open call, will be together with the final payment of the project to the consortium. So that will take place after the projects are finished in 2026. So, well, I think that's important to highlight.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, David. Yes, one thing that is sometimes not realized unless you read the small print is when you have a lump sum payment system, the payments have to be linked to a particular work package and deliverable. So that's obviously why we link our payments to these deliverables. And as David mentioned, the first deliverable is at the end of the first month. So in actual fact, it's doubling up as sort of an initial or an advanced payment of 35%, after the first month of the project. But it's linked to that first deliverable, and then the second payment is linked to the second deliverable at the end of the project. But thank you very much for David. That's very important.
No problem.
So in terms of the types of costs, we're very flexible here. So they can be personnel costs for the development, integration, experimentation, testing, and validation activities. There could be costs related to infrastructure, hardware, and software to deploy the project, travel and accommodation to participate in the proposed activities of the project. So, project meetings or attending, related events for your particular project, communications and promotional activities. And as I mentioned, the project will be monitoring the costs and the deliverables and using the lump sum model for payment. Okay, so this here has the various websites where you can find things, or the email, the Twitter account, and LinkedIn. And then we also have 4 webinars that we did for the first open call. So you can also have a look at some of these as well. And some of the webinars go into more detail on various aspects of maybe more detailed aspects. So please have a look at some of these as well. Okay, I have a number of FAQs here. I don't know, David, how much time we have left to spend on these, or do you prefer to have Q&A?
Questions, yeah.
Yeah, we can take questions first. Especially there is one for you, in the chat. So, well,
Okay.
there was first one question that was solved during the presentation, and one from the 6G Health Institute in Germany, and they ask if they are eligible to apply to this for this call. I answer in the text, but well, just wanted to say that of course you are eligible, but want to stress that in Imagine Beyond 5G, the trials and pilots are should happen in the 4 facilities of the project, and it's okay that in your own facility you do the preliminary validation testing, some development, but of course you should account for some integration and then the execution of the experiment in one of the Imagine Beyond 5G facilities. That in the case of eHealth, the interests are in Norway and Portugal. So please take a look to the description of the use cases. There is a specific document on that, and then the facilities, and you can get in touch with them, or my recommendation will be to send a first feasibility check already, and about that. Then the question for Jim, I read it to you, Jim. So is what kind of software license are you applying to the software outcomes of the project? Are the proposals expected to release results with a specific software license option? Can you say something about how are you managing the IPR for the platform extensions of the first open call? Are the vertical experiments supposed to release open data set? Okay, this last one, I said it, and it's well, supposed to release open data sets is something, it's not an obligation, but it's a positive thing. It's the whole SNS program is pushing towards open source solutions and open data sets. So that's not compulsory, but of course is a plus. And related to all the IPRs, Jim, I leave it up to you to answer. Or you want me to repeat again, or you have it?
No, I can see it here.
Okay.
Yes, so for the most part, we had sort of the standard IPR clauses in, you know, which we found a little bit surprising. We thought there would be, you know, many more specific ones requested by the project teams, but there really wasn't. However, there was one specifically in one of our platform extension projects, and you probably recall this, David, that the license that they had was not going to be extended past the duration of their project, but we insisted that they would have to honor the requirement to to be available for the entire duration of the Imagine Beyond 5G project. So, in that particular case, we had to stick to our guns and say that the software licenses should be made available for the entire duration of not just your project for the platform extension, but for the the remainder of the Imagine Beyond 5G, so to the end of December of 2025.
Jim, I think just sorry to interrupt. I think the question is what type of license we are asking for. I think they are maybe considering like the open license somehow. Maybe not the duration, but would they just need to specific software license option? And I mean, I believe he did not specify anything because different facilities have different software licenses. And I think I would say this has to be discussed during the feasibility check with a certain facility, because not every facility has the uniform hardware or software. So I think this is basically need to be taken maybe case by case in terms of what type of software license or the extensions, if they will open it up or will provide it as solutions. I don't know anything we can add there.
Yes, in general, I'd say that all the IPR belongs to the company, to the institution of the open code. So it's not that we are in the project obtaining the IPR. So the IPR remains as in a collaborative project on the partner that is bringing that solution, component, whatever. Okay, and then there was a question, and that applies for the platform extensions of the first open call. So they need to provide support using their equipment, but the IPR belongs to them. And in the project we have like that additional equipment, software, whatever. Okay.
Of course, unless maybe they are extending an already a licensed product, providing extensions, then they need to follow whatever the license agreement there, I guess. So, yeah, that's why I think it really maybe depends.
Yeah, then, well, once we know the specifics, we can detail or go further, right? But in general, I'd say that's the thing. And then depending on the specifics, it's very complex and tricky, and we are ready to discuss and find a way. There is another question. Is there a priori commitment to travel to the final review, plenary meetings, or just the one required for kickoff integration testing, technical meetings? So, okay, that one I can answer as well. In principle, there is no commitment for meetings, but we will have a plenary meeting in Aveiro in May, and we have invited all the first open call projects to physically attend in person, and but it's also possible to participate. It's some specific part of the meeting, not the whole plenary, online. Okay, and regarding the midterm and final reviews, in the case of Imagine-B5G, they will be online, and some, in general, in case you don't know, for all SNS projects with open calls, the Commission wants few representatives of the open calls in the review. So that will be, of course, not all of them. We have already 15 projects. We will have probably another 15 in the second open call, and a few more next year. And that, whether that's physical or most likely they are online, at least in our case. So just for your information, I don't know if there are.
One more thing. In general, I think it is still maybe good to have some travel budget. Most likely you need to go and visit the facility, work with them. Maybe not specifically for meetings, but I think it would be good to have some travel budget in terms of either joining some of the events or coming to the facilities, or hopefully we will also would like to meet you guys in person. So that will be at least my recommendation.
Yes, you can put these into the application form, and you know, as you mentioned, you could have kickoff, integration, testing, technical meetings, and also maybe, you know, one or two you know, meetings, plenary type meetings, or you know, that kind of thing that David mentioned, and just you know, cost that into your proposal.
Okay, any more questions? If not, well, we have a number of frequently asked questions also after the first open call. Well, Jim has the slides. We will make them available, I guess, or well, they are on the web page. We
Yes,
have one more.
the-
Yeah.
Yeah, they're all available on the website, and I think these ones we just pulled out were the kind of most asked, the most frequently asked ones. But so in terms of the stakeholders, we've already covered this, that the types of organizations that can participate, and that we do have this allocation between the different types of stakeholders. Can we apply to other SNS project open calls at the same time? And as I mentioned, there's nothing prohibiting this. However, keep in mind that we will be coordinating with the other SNS projects to make sure that there's no, double funding or operational capacity issues of participants that are in multiple open calls with different projects. Can more than one participant team up to apply for a single project? Yes, but there is a maximum on this of 2. And as Ozu mentioned, there's a budget, a suggested budget allocation for that scenario. So please follow this budget allocation. And then if in this case, it will be done similar to the way Horizon Europe is done. So the sub-grant agreement will be signed between the coordinating partner and Set2. And then the payments will be made to the coordinating partner, who will then distribute the payment to the other consortium members. And if there is more than one partner, the 2 consortium members will have to have their own consortium or partnership agreement. We can help you in what kind of agreement you should have. We have some templates you can use. Do the participants to the open calls in either category, platform extensions or verticals, have to be located in the countries of the facilities? No, they don't necessarily have to be located there, although it might be advantageous in some respects. They don't have to be located there. So this is possible as long as they pass the facility eligibility check and their proposal justifies well how their work is applicable to the facilities, even if they're not located there.
Jim, you are not sharing. I don't.
Oh,
Yes.
I'm sorry.
I guess you are going through the facts, but well, nevertheless, they are online, and it's good that you go through them because they are frequently asked. And please take a look to the frequently asked questions in the web page, and because they might solve probably some.
Okay, my apologies for that. So can a vertical experiment or platform extension proposal involve more than one facility? So it's potentially more feasible for a platform extension project to do this. For example, radio equipment can be provided to multiple facilities. However, it must be well justified in the proposal and will need to undergo a feasibility check in all the related facilities. And as with the platform extension projects, support must be provided until the end of the Imagine-B5G project in all related facilities. For vertical experiment proposals, it may be more difficult to justify as the project currently doesn't have cross-facility connection yet, although this is coming soon. So however, this possibility can be discussed with the facilities and the feasibility checks with each facility. Can a proposal address both vertical experiments and the platform extensions in a single proposal? This is possible to address both, but you must first determine the best fit and only submit it to either. Sorry, that should be open call 2 vertical experiments or open call 2 external platform extensions. So the way to determine the best fit, you would use the guideline. If the majority of the work involves the development experiment, trials, and validation, and requires some hardware and software extension, it'll fit best as a vertical experiment proposal. If the majority of the work involves hardware, and/or software extensions, and a smaller amount of experimentation, it's best to submit it as a vertical, a platform extension project. Okay, and again, keep in mind that the platform extension projects are required to provide continued support on the implemented extensions to the end of the project. And this, someone in the first open call asked, can we submit one proposal to a vertical experiment and another one to platform extension in the same open call? Well, as I mentioned before, yes, there's nothing to stop you from submitting 2 different proposals. However, only one project can be funded. So only, if they're both successful, only one of them will receive funding in the open call. This is an obvious one. Is it mandatory to get a feasibility check? Yes. And the result has to be included in your application to ensure the project is technically feasible. Failing to do so will make your application ineligible.
Jim, can I add a comment? Because there was a question on the feasibility check. There was a question saying, can we send a draft of feasibility check first to check it? And then yes. The email. The email is on the website. David answered that one. And for the draft of feasibility check, it will be really good if you can send a full version, because we also yes. put, there were some iterations in the previous round, so many iterations, because it was not the complete information, and this also caused a lot of overhead on our end. So we allowed only 2 iterations for this one. So if you provide as much information as you can, that will be good, rather than just maybe sending a few ideas here and there. Because if you cannot understand what you would like to do, it is hard for us to evaluate whether it is feasible in the facilities or not. So that is what I will encourage. Yeah.
Okay. Yes, thank you. Okay. Yes, this is for the declaration of honor. If the project is successful, you'll be requested to sign this once the final eligibility checks are made. And the main purpose of this is, as I mentioned before, is to ensure that there's no double funding, that you have operational capacity to work on the project. So it's a typical DOH that I'm sure many of you have seen before. And this template is it's available already to download and have a look at. In terms of the countries that are eligible, all of the member states are listed here. Associated countries are listed here. The United Kingdom countries are, according to the agreements, are now able to participate, as we understand, to open call projects of Horizon Europe as of 1st of January 2024. So that's that's applicable. Okay. There's some questions. Why are there 2 tables for finance information in the current template? That's in case there are 2 partners, you would fill in both of the tables, one for partner number 1 and one for partner number 2. If there's only one partner, you just fill in the first table. Can we have multiple uploads of the same application? Version 1 this week, version 2, yes. As Ozu mentioned, you can keep submitting it as many times as you want until the deadline, and it'll override and keep the latest one. Do you get a notification when the proposal is made? Yes, you will receive an email from the portal each time they submit. Okay, so these are just samples, and there's many more available on our FAQs on the website. So please have a look at these as well from some more FAQs. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jim. Okay, so I think it's well 12:30. 1 hour and a half of webinar. Let's conclude here, and well, we will probably organize another webinar in the following weeks. Recall, well, deadline is final deadline 10th of June, which is Monday. You should provide a feasibility checks a couple of weeks minimum. Don't remember 2 weeks, but it's very busy time. It's UCNC, and so please try to do it as soon as possible because, and yeah, and just take a look to all the documentation. And as Ogdus said, it's if you submit a feasibility check, try to provide as much information as possible because that's also useful for us to provide you feedback. Okay, so well, thank you, Ogdu, Jim, and all the facility representatives, and well, looking forward to receive as many very interesting proposals from all of you. Bye-bye.